Okay, let's see what's happening on the ground. We can take you to Midlands in Soweto now. That's where we find Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo, because Ziyanda Ngcobo, the president of the African National Congress in his capacity as that, will be visiting Soweto this morning. We're expecting today, actually. We'll see how his diary works. But in Gauteng alone, you've got over 6 million people that are registered to vote so far. But when you take a look at the township you are at now, what is it that people are telling you?
Because Soweto is a contested space, clearly, usually your stronghold, but you have seen some losses. What's your plan?
Our plan is to encourage Sowetans to register to vote and to register to vote the ANC. And of course, this is on top of the work we've been doing here, holding manifesto reviews, counting to our people, and we want to sustain that message. We come here with a lot of modesty and nothing other than that.
And, you know, one of the things that's happened to the ANC over the years is that at a provincial and a local level, sometimes the issues happening at national affect issues that are happening at a national level become a microcosm in areas such as Soweto. So load shedding, their bill to Eskom, etc., remain topical and have been placed at the feet of an ANC-led government. So what are you going to say to Sowetans today to encourage them to vote for the ANC, as you've just mentioned?
I'm certain that when the president arrives and does the door-to-door together with other senior leaders of the ANC and our ground volunteers, one of the things they're going to talk about is the transformer replacement program. That is a clear evidence of strides that are being made to deal with the effects of the energy security problems in South Africa, and more specifically talking to Soweto. We know that there's a program coming to Soweto that is already being rolled out by the Gauteng provincial government. I'm just using that as an example, Ziyanda. But of course the conversations are going to be frank, and conversations are also going to be more than just us talking, but also about us listening.
The president starting here, does that mean that there's a real concern that Gauteng is at risk?
The president starting here is because there's a real concern that Soweto, the largest township in South Africa, where what we call our own base has always been, is important, like many other parts of South Africa. But we determined that it is important to come to the people of South Africa, of Soweto, using the face of communication messenger number one, President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was also celebrating his birthday yesterday. He also hails from Soweto. So it is a reconnection on many fronts.
Why not go to Shawelo then?
We are going to be considering waving to the people of Shawelo, but as you can imagine, as you saw our itinerary, it is really a congested one. He's got to be at Ekurhuleni, he's got to be in Hammanskraal tomorrow, in Tshwane, and so it's a very congested program. Ideally, we would wish to be, would have covered all the 5 regions of the province.
I mean, you were talking about the transformer program. It sounds like the ANC creates a problem and then promises to fix the problem that it created.
Well, any government does have hits and misses. I would imagine that the energy security issue also predates 1994, but I don't want to dwell on that point because we're not about a narrative that talks about things that predate 1994 anymore. But I do want to say that we are fixing issues related to load shedding, and the results are clear for all to see. So the transformer replacement program is just an addition to the work we're doing in that space.
Just lastly, of course, you are obviously targeting young people in this election, and that's why you're here to come and ask them to register to vote. But one of the issues that EFF leader Julius Malema has raised is that your own Gauteng Premier has said he's bringing shebeens to the township. I mean, is that wise? Because this comment by Mr. Malema was made in light of me seeing a lot of young people drinking, walking around, and it's only been 2 hours since the voting stations have opened.
I'm not certain that the narrative and the work of the Gauteng provincial government is about bringing shebeens to the township. Shebeens exist in the township. Check every corner here. It is about how do we make it work in such a way that there's better regulation of that environment. And I'm certain that the provincial government can expand on this further, and they are in the process of explaining the logic and the rationale behind this program and the partnerships and the sponsors behind this so-called deal. But I don't think that it is a case of bringing any new taverns to the township, other than really creating an environment where this is a dignified space, where young people can be protected, where young people who are underage are protected from the illicit, access to taverns because of the chaos around it. And I think those are some of the things we're talking about.
All right, so we are standing by for the president to come. That's Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri. She speaks on behalf of the ANC. She'll be receiving the president alongside ANC Chief Whip. That's Pemi Majodina. I saw her walking around. Of course, it's what political parties are allowed to do outside of the voting stations. They're not allowed inside. Even the party agents aren't allowed to be inside the voting station wearing any party regalia. So the president starting off here, and then he'll move to one venue before having lunch at Maponyamo, where he's expected to continue on a blitz walk.
From a township of some nearly 2 million residents, we can now take you to the Free State. That's where we find Newzroom Africa's Ziniko Mhlaba, who is in Mangaung. Ziniko Mhlaba, where you are, according to the IEC, at least people that have registered to vote in Mangaung are some over 400,000 people. Place yourself for us at this hour. Tell us what it is that we're seeing and hearing.
That's right. That's right. When it comes to the numbers, so Mangaung is a very important center or area or region in the entire Free State when it comes to those voting blocks. But I can also give you add on that statistics. But when you look at the gender of the people who are registered to vote, it's mostly women at about just over 53% of the people who voted, and you've got males just under 45% who are coming out to vote. So when it comes to the gender parity, it's mostly female who are registered to vote here in Mangaung, especially when you look at the broader perspective of the Free State province. So we've now moved to some suburbs of the Mangaung to get a sense of how things are unfolding, what are the key issues affecting the people in this area. We're just outside the Universitas and Parkwest, which are mostly suburb areas, to get a sense of how's the situation, what are the major issues, and what inspired the people to go out or to come out to register to vote. I'm joined now by Mr. Yuan. Mr. Yuan, thank you very much for speaking to us. Talk to us about the importance of this election that's coming up in 2024, and the importance of people needing to come out to vote, considering all the issues of safety, all the issues of service delivery this part of this municipality has been faced with.
Firstly, I want to say thanks for having me. I'm Johan Koetsen of UPNA, Universitas and Park West Neighbourhood Association. And so the plan are plain and simple. What we want to achieve with the outcome of this election is we want to improve in our area of Park West and Universitas, but also throughout the city. We want to improve the service delivery. With regard to that, I can mention cleanliness, safety is very important. And then for the city of Bloemfontein, but also for the suburbs of Universitas and Park West, we want to improve our marketability. And that's saying goals, we want to spread that out in the province and for the country as such. And if we achieve that with the election, that will be super.
Thank you, Mr. Johan. Let me bring you in now. Ntando, thank you very much for joining us. You just came out to verify your details, but surely there's something that inspired you to leave your house in the morning to come out and register to vote. How's the process inside, and what will be the 2024 vote mean to you personally as a person who's staying here in Bloemfontein, in Mangaung specifically?
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is James Ne. I was there to go and check my name there inside the registration vote. things are going very slow. The people are not coming so too much like other years. But I think our government, they must change and service delivery. This is the most important thing for us. So if our party can change, and then we'll be behind them. But if they change, we're going to run away from them because there's nothing they are doing for us. We are still suffering, especially in our areas. There's nothing is happening here.
So in terms of you alluding to the fact that there are several things that must be changed in terms of service delivery, do you think maybe the vote that you'll be casting next year is going to make any difference? Do you think it's fair for people who are saying that, you know what, I've not been having services in Mangaung, but I need to vote? What makes you think that it is important for you to vote, despite all the challenges that you're having?
No, I will say it is very important to go and vote. Because if you are not going to vote, there's nothing going to be changing. But if you vote, you're going to see a lot of progressing things, what is going to happen, especially the party that's going to win the election for 2024 next year. So I'm going to encourage everyone must come and register to vote for next year.
All right. So ideally, in that we've been seeing a lot of municipalities being in coalitions. Do you think maybe South Africa is ready for that from your understanding as you've been voting over the years? What kind of governance would you like to see after the elections next year?
No, now I'll stay on my party, ANC. I'm not going to go with coalitions. ANC is our ruling party. We won't change for it.
But it's not been working for you, and it?
Yes, it doesn't work for us, but I won't change for it. ANC is again. It never changed for ANC. I will stay there, but they must try to work for the people because we put in there. Okay. Yeah. Thank you,
That's Mr. James there, who just came out of the voting center to verify his details. He's saying he's all good as far as the IEC process are concerned. All the details are there, but having some concerns about some of the things he says must change in regards to service delivery. We are in Parkwest in the northern suburbs of the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality. The process and obviously people are coming in dribs and dribs. Actually, it's very few people are coming out. So hopefully by the afternoon, a lot of people will be making their way to come and verify their details, and those who have not registered to vote will be able to come in to vote. So let's see what we see or what we found in our list location as we try to navigate the seat of Mangaung, giving the viewers the picture from the ground in terms of the voting processes and how they're unfolding here in the Free State.
A very interesting conversation with people on the ground. Ziniko Mhlaba, who recognized that there has been no change, but they will stick to their party because, as he says, it does not work for them, but ibakipin upegwen. Thank you very much, Ziniko Mhlaba. For now, let's take you to Motherwell in the Eastern Cape, Galvindale to be specific. That's where we find Newzroom Africa's Siphosethu Booi. Siphosethu, why are people coming out there, if at all, to register to vote?
While many of them issuing the fact that safety is one of great concern, they are hopeful that when they do cast their votes come 2024 elections, the change that they want will actually be delivered by whatever party that they will be voting for. We are currently sitting at least 500,000 as far as the registration is concerned to Duzile throughout the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. And of course, speaking to one of the gentlemen who was here to register to vote, he's quite, elderly because he's now 52, and he was just saying to us that the reason why he came to register and just check if whether or not his documents are in place was the issue of safety in the northern areas. It's quite sad. He says that to see young people as young as 12 years old join gangs in the northern areas, and also some of them dying at an early age due to the mass shootings between the gangs in this area. And of course, the fact that he's a father was one that really motivated him to come forward in hopes that maybe his son one day will also see and, respect the fact that registration weekend is a step closer to, of course, getting one's vote and being able to complain should one have anything they would like to say because they've voted. So it's an access key to say no when the situation is not going as per the plan. But I'm joined now by the DA provincial leader Andrew Whitfield. Andrew, speaking to some of the residents here, the issue of safety is of great concern. And as a DA leader yourself, considering the fact that this has been, the northern areas have been a DA stronghold for many years, but we've seen the numbers dwindling over the years. What could be, the original factor or some of the factors, if you may know, that could, be an influence to those dwindling numbers for the Democratic Alliance in the area?
Well, firstly, on the issue of safety, this is why the DA has had a sustained campaign to bring this to the attention of the Minister of Police, Bheki Cele. He doesn't respond to letters anymore. When he comes here, he comes only to do TV interviews. He doesn't put proper plans in place. We've done oversight just down the road on Gale Road at the Galvindale Police Station, visited a number of police stations across the northern areas, because gang violence and violence in the northern areas in general has been a pervasive issue for decades. There are some very serious socio-economic issues. The rising cost of living is pushing people into the queues of poverty and unemployment. They're looking for ways out. They find gangs, and this becomes a very desperate situation for them. In the northern areas, the DA remains the biggest party by a very long way. The South African political landscape has become fragmented. We've seen lots of smaller parties come up. That gives people options, but that also gives us chaos, coalition chaos in Nelson Mandela Bay. And if you look around you, in the last 7 months since Retief Odendaal was removed as the mayor, we've had the systemic collapse of the administration. We cannot fill potholes. We can't get verges cut. Gary van Niekerk, who's the mayor, who's from the northern areas, should be really prioritizing this area. Yet he turns his back on it for pure petty politics, because the DA is in control of the majority of wards. And unfortunately, we need to change our mindset as leaders to understand that we are here to service the residents. And at the end of the day, service must come before self.
And also, speaking on that note about the issue of the coalition instability in the metro. I mean, we've seen it 2016 during Ethel Trollip was the DA, member at the time, and that's when, the coalitions were introduced to the Nelson Mandela Bay residents. But come now, 2024 elections, what will the DA do differently, to or for the people of the northern areas? Why should they go and register to vote and maybe find a place within the Democratic Alliance and say this would be their party that will carry them through for the next 5 years?
Well, I'm sure your viewers and you know that it's not a local government election, it's a national and provincial election. So the issues are of a national on a national stage, and that is why crime has been such a major focus for us. So what are we going to do for the people of the northern areas? We are demanding that we send specialist detectives here to root out these organized criminal syndicates. We've asked them to boost crime intelligence, and to make sure that we do that, we need to get more boots on the ground. In the last 10 years, we've lost 90% of our reservist force. We will be recruiting tens of thousands of reservists in the first year in office if the DA gets into government through our multi-party charter, which is what we are incredibly confident about at the moment. 2024 is a referendum on crime. The DA has a plan to create safer communities by deploying more boots on the ground, making sure we provide support to our police officers, but also making sure we provide support to our communities who want to take safety into their own hands, to form neighborhood watches, to be part of CPFs that are functional, and to make sure we push back against this criminal tide that is overwhelming our communities. Crime is the big issue in 2024. It's the big issue in the northern areas. The ANC is in charge of policing at a national level. That needs to end. We need to make sure that we change the government so that we can change the environment in which people live, that they feel safe going out at night. And at the moment, the minute the sun goes down in the northern areas, people lock their doors. And that's the sad reality.
And also, just lastly, the issue of, the multi-party coalitions and talks. Current situation in the metro, the instability is one of great concern. Many residents are not pleased with what's currently happening. Maybe, what could be the talks that leaders need to do in ensuring that the situation gets in control, so that people can, gain confidence, especially young people, to say these are the leaders that we would want to go and register to vote and vote for come 2024. Because this is an issue of the residents of the metro, different political parties, over 13 parties in this metro, but there needs to be common ground. Where is the problem? What can be done as a leader yourself? What can be done to ensure that the situation is not as bad as it is come the elections 2024? Give people reason as leaders to go or come out in their numbers to register.
Well, first I would say that voters have the power to determine how stable they want their local government to be in 2026. They can decide who to vote for. We can pass legislation in Parliament to bring stability to coalitions, putting in a threshold, making sure that we don't have motions of no confidence every other month, that we legislate that you can bring a motion of no confidence once a month. The DA is proposing this legislation. We're working with other political parties in Parliament. But the real problem at the moment is this fractured political landscape. You cannot build a sustainable, stable coalition with 10 political parties. Voters need to make up their minds and choose who they want to support to bring about the best stability. And I would make the point that the majority of coalitions in South Africa are stable. You just don't hear about them because it's not newsworthy, it's not controversial. The big metros have become unstable because they're so fractured and there's a lot more money that interests some political individuals and parties that they want to go after. So, as leaders, we need to be honest and open with our voters. We need to make sure that we negotiate on principle and conviction and not for power and positions. That cannot come first. And that is why at the moment the DA is engaged in coalition negotiations, but on the basis of principle, not power. If we get into power, that's a plus. But first we need to decide what values and principles we agree to, what program of action that matters to the residents, and how we're going to publish our service delivery plans prior to going into government. These are all parts of bringing about stable coalition government. Transparent leadership that is honest and open with the people.
DA Provincial Leader Andrew Whitfield, just speaking a mouthful there about the current situation of the metro. You will know that the political instability in this metro even issued a COCTA MEC a letter to the municipality, maybe also just proposing the issue of the Section 12 amendment to ensure that all the different political parties work together, or rather forcing them to work together with only one mayor. So now currently the situation, really the DA saying that the ball is in the court of the young people, including the residents, to come out in their numbers to come and register to vote and choose a political party that they feel will be able to carry them through to the 2026 elections, local municipality elections, to avoid the current situation that we're seeing in the metro of the political instability as far as the coalition government is concerned to do.
On that, Siphosethu, Booi, what have you been witnessing? Are ordinary South Africans trickling in, or have they come out in their numbers where you are at least?
Let me just move out of shot and I'll ask my colleague Ziyanda Ngcobo to just give you a bit of a background of what is currently happening here in Galvindale. You'll see these are young people walking out of the voter registration corner that's situated just in the other left of my corner. See, I will show you shortly. But the situation is quite slow in this part of a town, Dudu, and I think it's very important to note that people wake up a bit late, and those who have woken up early have, different commitments that they still need to attend to. They'll probably make their way to their nearest VDs come 12 p.m. just before 1. During those times, that's the only time people will actually come out in their numbers to come and check if everything is in place as far as the voter registration is concerned. But so far it has been quiet, and I've seen quite a number of elderly people, ages ranging from 52 years and upwards, and I do see that there has been not a very big response, but a positive response as far as the 18-year-olds are concerned, especially the females in the Eastern Cape Province, in Nelson Mandela Bay in specific, to go out and register to vote. So maybe it's also an issue of trying to make the word out there that young people can also vote using the registration online, and just to make sure that they have registered to vote, not necessarily having to come to IEC stations where young people can come and register physically, because the issue of contact has been one of great concern for many young people, speaking about the fact that they can't leave work or leave their commitments to come and stand in long queues for hours. So there needs to be a practical way to move with the times, and of course the online registration has been open for a while now. So young people need to also engage that particular line as far as the registration is concerned. But so far, it's been quiet in the Alex Matikinga, area where the ANC has a very strong hold there, and we've seen them saying that they'll be activating those loud hailers and ensuring that they do contacts of door-to-door volunteers, asking and checking that young people as well as the elderly get registered. And also just the Nelson Mandela Bay area is alone in this particular side, but there are villages, of course, across the Eastern Cape Province. So one would also assume that those volunteers, whether IEC or not, do move in in within the community members here, you will know that the ANC, of course, came third during the 2019 highest registration of voter numbers. So we wait to see if those numbers will be multiplied or maintained by this particular province that we know is an ANC stronghold. So we'll see different political parties like the Democratic Alliance as an opposition party, as well as the EFF, garnering those votes in different specific wards within this Nelson Mandela Bay Metro and including the Eastern Cape province as a whole, Dudu.
All right, Siphosethu, Booi, thank you very much for that comprehensive report. A slow start, at least where you are in Galvandale in the Eastern Cape. Let's see what's happening in KwaZulu-Natal. We take you to Mpangeni. That's where Ntando Mnyandu is standing by for us. Ntando, good morning to you. What is it that we are witnessing there? Is there a little bit of foot traffic?
Well, good morning to Tuzile and our viewers at home. We've seen a slow, start to the day from the early hours of the morning when the voting the registration stations open here in the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal. We're coming to you live from the King Cetshwayo district. We are in Mpangeni Civic Center, but we have witnessed quite a number of registration centers in townships such as KwaZlange as well. We have also went to as far as Esikhaleni, commonly known as Esikhaleni, where we've witnessed that there's not much activity. The voting stations are quite, moving at a very slow pace. We've seen particularly only elderly people, coming out, and they will come in drips and drabs to come and register to vote. But when we spoke to some IEC officials, they said, well, it's possible that, voters rely on online registration. As you know, it's the weekend. People have different commitments that they need to attend. So we are hoping that, a bit later on in the day, we might see an improvement. Even where we are right now, when we checked with the IEC officials, I think they had only had 20 or so, or people coming to check if their names are on the voters' roll, not particularly to register, but just to check if their names are on the voters' roll. So we've seen quite a slow, take off to this voter registration weekend here in the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal. You know that this region or this district is under the leadership of the Inkatha Freedom Party, which forms one of the biggest political parties in the political landscape of KwaZulu-Natal. But to tell us more about what has been the mood of the people around here when it comes to registering for, to vote, we are now joined by the provincial chairperson of the Inkatha Freedom Party, Mr. Ntuli. Ntuli, we understand that you've traveled and you've gone across quite a number of voting stations. What is, is the outlook? Do you think people are coming out to register? If not, what do you think might be hindering that?
Well, I think people are coming to register, except that the majority rely on online. And you'll recall that this is not the last opportunity for them to register to vote, because as the municipalities under King Cetshwayo, we have been interacting with the communities through the different sessions where we had IDPs together with the IEC, where we're encouraging them to go to vote, and we have put different measures to encourage them to go and actually register to vote. And we are hopeful that we will be seeing more people registering either online and even tomorrow, because Esikhaleni is slow in terms of the walk-ins, but we believe that there are different arrangements where the groups of people are registered online. In particular, ourselves as the IFP, we have a plan to do that, and we believe that even the municipalities, they have a plan to do that.
Yeah. Now, speaking to you as the chairperson, the SALCA chairperson in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we cannot run away from issues, affecting the province. Do you think that people are still confident in the political leadership that they have in the province, or do you think that leaders in the province are advancing the interest of the people? Judging, we know that there is online registration. We know that this is not the last. But the confidence of the people, you are saying you've interacted with your constituencies, what is the attitude on the ground when it comes to voting?
Well, my view is that it's a common, in fact, knowledge that people are despondent because of the lack of service delivery, wrong decisions which are taken, which are impacting on the life of the people. You'll know that the province of KwaZulu-Natal experience the floods, and even today there are people who are still in temporary shelters, and those people are not happy. The issues around load shedding, the issues around unemployment, issues around crime, they are the issues the people on the ground, in fact, are highlighting, that they are making them not to be confident that the current system can provide any hope at the end of the tunnel. And hopefully our encouragement to them that is for them to make a decision to either change or to sustain. It's important to register to vote even if you are not sure whether you are going to vote, so that when you decide to vote during the voting time, you will not be deprived by the reality that you did not register to vote. That is our, in fact, our approach, that everyone must ensure that is registered to vote. When you are 18 and above, they must ensure that they register to vote. And even the Home Affairs offices are open to assist with the temporal IDs, and for those who took IDs, who did not collect their IDs, so that they will be able to, in fact, grabbed an opportunity of having a right to vote when the right time comes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntuli.
No, thank you very much.
Well, that is the chairperson of the Inkatha Freedom Party in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, telling us that, in as much as we see that there is a slow turnout, but they are sure, they are certain that people will come out and vote come 2024 with other arrangements having been made, to ensure that people are registered to vote. With that, it's back to you in studio.
Mnyandu in KwaZulu-Natal, thank you very much for that report.